this month, we'll be talking about abusive relationships. Okay, in the broadcast I sent out, I called it domestic abuse, but I decided to narrow it down because domestic abuse in itself is really broad. All right, it's not necessarily streamlined to a love relationship, because with domestic abuse, it could affect children, it could affect other family members, it could affect other relatives and people living with you. It could just it's wider than just dealing with abusive relationships. All right. So what I'm going to try to do in these sessions is to narrow it down to abusive relationships. Yes, what I'll be talking about will still, will still speak of domestic abuse and domestic violence, as some choose to call it. However, I will try to narrow towards those in a relationship. So this is the introductory module. So I'll do some basic definitions. I'll just keep it basic, and then I'll share some statistics with you. If I have time, then I'll take it a step further. But if not, no problem. We have the full month, and we're going to take it step by step. So I want to encourage you, please try not to miss out any of these sessions. All right? Okay. Let's get right into it. So today I'm talking about domestic abuse, or better put, abusive relationships. All right. Whoa. Okay, so I'll just share a couple of things with you. I try to break it down into points so that I can communicate easier. So the term, you might have heard the term domestic abuse, domestic violence, or IPV, intimate partner violence. Okay, as the name describes, it's a pattern of behavior in any relationship that is used to gain or maintain power and control over the other partner. Let me say it again. It's a pattern of behaviors in any relationship, all right, that is used to gain or maintain power and control over another partner. I'm tempted to get ahead of myself, but let me just try and take it a bit. That's why I wrote it down. All right. Any kind of behavior that attempts to gain control, to maintain power and control over the other partner, that is abusive behavior. That is abusive behavior. And I will give examples as we go ahead in the course of these conversations, all right? But I just need to establish that. Now, these abuse that we're talking about, it could be physical, it could be emotional, it could be economic, it could even be sexual, and it could be psychological. All right? I said it could be physical, emotional, economic, sexual, or psychological. There are different ways that it plays out. Many people are in abusive relationships, and it's like they don't know. Some of them know. All right. Some of them know that this thing is terrible. It's affecting me terribly. It's not working. I need help desperately, but they are still there. At some point in the conversation, we will talk about why people stay. All right. Don't be so quick to shout at them or to condemn, we will talk about it. We'll talk about it. And you might just see yourself in that situation if you're, affected by what I'm saying. Okay, give me a second, please. All right. So, abuse includes any action or threats of action that will influence another person against their will. So it's either you're doing something or your partner is doing something, or threatening to do something that is influencing you against your will. Typically, you would not do this. Typically, you would not stand for this. You will not identify with this. But someone is doing something to you or threatening to do something to you that will make you comply, even when your typical response or answer would not have been in the affirmative. That is abusive behavior. Okay? Now, anyone can be a victim of domestic abuse. Anyone. It could be the guy, it could be the woman, it could be children, it could be parents, it could be in-laws, But since we're talking about love relationships, it could go both ways. Of course, statistics has it that 85% of domestic violence victims are the women, all right? But that does not remove the fact that some women themselves are abusers. Excuse me, please. That does not remove the fact that some women themselves are abusers. Some women are the ones who terrorize their partners. I hope that we'll have time to get into all of this in more details. All right, I'm just dropping certain basic points about domestic abuse. All right, so basically, if one partner exerts power and control over the other one, it's abuse. I think I said that before. All right. So one thing you notice about domestic abuse incidents is that they usually escalate in frequency and in severity. So at first, it starts like just shouted at you once. And then before you know it, shouting at you becomes almost the order of the day. Raising his voice or her voice at you almost becomes the order of the day. All right. So it begins to increase in frequency and even in severity. So at first he said no, he wasn't really shouting. The voice was just a bit loud. Very soon he really gets to shout and then even gesticulates and and you're wondering what is going on here. What has changed? Are you the same person talking to me? Like I feel like you're a strange person right now. You've heard people say sometimes that when their partner got in that mode, they were almost wondering, is this a demon? Is this an animal? Or is this the same person I just went out with? Is this the same person that I've been friends with all this while? What is happening? This is a different you. Okay. Most times you see that the incidences, begin to escalate frequently and become more severe. All right. Now, another thing you may know about domestic abuse is that it can lead to physical injury. It can also lead to death. I'm sure you have heard or read stories in the news, in the media, about people who died due to domestic violence. I mean, there are times in Nigeria where you've had popular people, maybe a gospel artist. There was one that happened, was that 2 years ago, last year? I can't remember again. I mean, you get to see them in the news. All right. So person is killed. So person is hospitalized. There's a case of somebody who shot at his wife. I think she had to lose a hand, an arm or so, I mean, there are cases of these things here and there. We'll get into why they happen. We'll also talk about why the people stay. Okay. And then most importantly, we will show you how to overcome some of these things. But before I go into all of that, I want to share some statistics with you from around the world about domestic violence. Now, the purpose of these statistics is for learning. It's not to scare people. It's not to make anyone afraid and wonder, hey, this thing God love, why not do again? No, it's not for that. All right, it's not for that. As a matter of fact, you need to know that no one deserves to be abused. No human being, no creation of the Almighty God, no human, let me put it that way, all right, deserves to be abused. Nobody. And let me say this categorically. You see, the dominion mandate that God spoke over mankind in Genesis chapter 1 from verse 26 and to 28, where he was talking about let us make man in our own image and after our likeness and let them have dominion. All right. Now, that dominion mandate that God gave mankind was over every other thing that God created, not over man. In other words, God did not give man dominion over his fellow man. I need to emphasize that again and again. God did not give man dominion over woman. If I need to say it like that for you to get it. God did not give man or male dominion over female or female dominion over male. When God gave dominion to mankind, he spoke to both male and female. It is the same measure of dominion, is the same measure of charge towards taking charge of the earth that God spoke over mankind, male and female alike. Okay, so it is sinful, it is wrong, it is complete error for any human to assume a level of dominion, power and control over a fellow human. It is wrong. It is wrong. It is very wrong. All right. Now, I'm not disputing that we have authority. God is the one who instituted authority. Okay. There's such a thing as submitting to authority according to the laws of the land. Authority is given for order. That's what it's for. It's not to subjugate anyone. As a matter of fact, it's to protect, all right, the rights and the humanity, all right, of everyone. So authority and positions of influence and authority are not given to you to use to subjugate others or to control and oppress people. No, it is wrong. It is wrong. And that is why slavery still remains one of the most terrible, and what adjective will I use to qualify what kind of crime that was, in the times where we had slave trade. Okay, it's terrible because man has no right to exert dominion over a fellow human being. If you have a position of authority over someone else, that is just what it is. Both of you are equally humans. You have no right to demean that person. You have no right to make them feel less of themselves. You have no right to make them feel like you're doing them a favor because they're in contact with you. You have no right to make them feel like they are all in all. You are human. All right. You are human. The same God who supplies breath to your nostrils supplies to that person that you're oppressing. Listen to me. You can sleep and not wake up. Oh yes, you can fall from whatever height you think you're in, okay, and be destroyed in just a day. So the point is, accord every human you see respect and honor. Accord it to them. Okay, now this is somewhat a deviation, but I just needed to emphasize it. Because you see, one of the things that feeds these people who oppress others is that feeling of superiority. Is that feeling, of pride, arrogance, when you think you're better than other people. All right? Please, if you're hearing the sound of my voice today and you can self-diagnose and know that you're guilty of some of the things I'm talking about, please, it's high time you changed. It's high time you allowed the word of God, the wisdom of God to transform your life. Okay? Every human created by God has dominion over all of God's creation, but not over fellow humans. I needed to put that there. All right. So, and that is why abusing another human, is just so wrong. It is wrong in the sight of God. It is wrong in the sight of the law of the land everywhere. All right. So, let me share a few statistics I gathered, some from the US, UK, some around Nigeria too. Okay. Now, the first thing you want to know about abusive relationships and domestic abuse and intimate partner violence is that most domestic violence cases are not reported. So irrespective of what the statistics are out there, what you even need to know that should give you more concern is the fact that most of these cases are not reported. And the reasons are obvious. For some, it is fear. For some, it is shame. For some, they blame themselves. For some, they think it's not really happening. Denial. He will get better. I'm praying that he will change or that she will change. And they are not usually like this. I'm the one that made them angry. And me, I know myself. I'm the one that is the problem. I don't used to hear what. And you start saying all of these excuses, to justify somebody's bad behavior. So take note. It's one of the reasons why many domestic violence cases are not even reported. The reasons are several. All right, let me go on. Now, it is said that 1 in 4 women, this is so serious. It is said that 1 in 4 women will experience domestic violence during their lifetime. And I tell people that you can reduce this statistic by choosing not to jump into a relationship too early in your life. Yes. Because one of the things that make for abusive experiences is that people get into relationships when they have no business being there, when they are not even ready for it. Okay, let me just say this again for those who joined later. I said, please, that those of you here, please do well to share this live. Let people in your space see the notification and let them join in. All right, so please do well to share it, because I believe that these words will save somebody's life. All right. So I was saying something that the second statistic I was sharing is that 1 in 4 women will in their lifetime suffer domestic violence. It doesn't have to be you. You don't have to join that statistic. Okay. And one of the things that can save you from that is not getting into relationship until you are ready to get married. Now, I'm not saying even at that point you cannot meet the wrong people, but what I'm just saying is that you would have removed yourself from the statistic of people who have gotten into several unnecessary and useless relationships that negatively impacted their lives. Oh yes. Oh yes. All right. So let's even start with that. That's one of the first ways to save yourself. Don't get into a relationship because every other person is getting into a relationship. Don't get into a relationship because you feel like time is running out on you. No, get in when you know you are ready to get married, and get in when you know that the person you're getting in with is equally committed to getting married to you in the shortest possible time. Not in the far future, but in the shortest possible time. All right. I mean, if you listen to me, this is one point you hear over and over again, because I believe it is the bedrock, it's the foundation. Okay, it's the basis of getting things right in your marital relationship. All right, don't get in until you can put marriage in view, until you're sure that you can get married to the person, and the person too is willing to get married to you in the shortest possible time. All right. So, another point there says that women of ages 20 to 24 are the ones at the greatest risk of becoming victims of domestic violence. You know why? Because many times this is the same age range where young ladies typically get into marital relationships. Unfortunately, things have so gotten bad in society that even from 13, 12, people are already in relationships. I'm talking about active sexual relationships from age 12, 13. You see people getting pregnant at 13. You see people, you hear an 11-year-old boy. I mean, somebody's going to be surprised at that. Yeah, you hear an 11-year-old boy impregnating a 13-year-old girl. You hear things like a 12-year-old getting pregnant. You hear and you're wondering, what is going on? What exactly is going on? All right? That is because, unfortunately, the world we live in today has become all the more sexualized. Technology is contributing its bit. The media is contributing its bit. Almost everyone has a phone. And if you're not able to install certain controls, you have no idea where they are going to on that phone. All right. And of course, children, the younger they are, the smarter they are with these gadgets. All right. So if you're a parent and you don't even know what to do, they've already overtaken you. Unfortunately, they've already left you behind. You don't even know what's going on. All right, so the world is getting all the more sexualized. And that is one of the reasons why you see that even people in younger ages are already talking about relationship when they have no business. People have assignment to do and they're talking about love. And you have assignment to go and submit. You have a test, you have exam. You know that you are still in school, secondary school, or even maybe university, and you're doing love. You will fail, hopefully. You just start putting your life on a negative path. All right. Now, of course, not everyone gets to fail, but you understand what I'm saying. These things can be very seriously impacting, that it begins to cause people to deviate from where they should, from the path that they should be focused on. All right. So that is why it is said that women within the ages of 20 to 24 are at the greatest risk of, domestic violence, because typically that's about the age range where they begin to get into marital relationship. That's the age where they are at their prime. And many of them want to get married at that point, so that before 30, you hear the wishes of many young ladies. Before 30, I want to have finished having my children. I want to have my mini-me. I want to go on a stroll with my daughter. And you're saying all those fantastic, excellent and good ideas. All right. But like we always say, go for knowledge first. It is very beautiful to desire marriage, but it is more important to be prepared for marriage. Okay? It's one thing to desire it, it's completely a different thing to be prepared for it, so that you don't join the statistics of divorce and abuse and all of these things we're talking about. Let me see if I can make it a bit faster. Okay? The next point says that every 9 seconds in the US, a woman is assaulted or beaten. Every 9 seconds. Can you just imagine that? So let's count now. From now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right now, someone is being beaten. Count another 9 seconds, somebody is being assaulted. That is just crazy. That is just crazy. When I was reading and researching some of these statistics, I saw so many things that I just said, how many can I really share? How many can I really share? Listen, don't get into a relationship until you are ready to get married. And the readiness to get married, I'm not talking about your biology. I'm talking about your mental readiness, your deliberate learning. I'm talking about the fact that you have consumed materials, you have read books, you have attended trainings, workshops, seminars, and premarital counseling, premarital coaching. You need to do these things. Gone are the days where you think, hey, after all, now they will do counseling for us on the few weeks before we get married. No, it's beyond that. Many times you don't even pay attention to that. That's the truth. Okay, so you need to be deliberate about this thing the same way you're deliberate about every other area of your life. You see people spend time, resources, to take courses, to do a master's degree, to do an MBA, to do a doctorate, so that they can improve on their career. They go for short courses. They make all manner of investments. But then you ask them, what book have you read on relationship? No. Especially the guys. For the men, it's like waste of time. What concern relationship talk now? You're thinking of business, how to make more money, how to triple your income, how to cross your milestones, how to, those are the things that guys are thinking of. Meanwhile, they should also be thinking of how to be good husbands, how to be good fathers. They need to think of this thing. Listen, marriage will expose you to a lot. It will show you how truly emotionally developed or not that you are. And that is why you should deliberately invest in learning. I cannot overemphasize this. In one of the months, I spoke about the underrated necessity, and I was sharing how that people need to prioritize, premarital learning. It's very important. It's very important. It cannot be overemphasized. Marriage will test you. Marriage will reveal how really mature you are or not. Your children will stress you. Yes, they will stress you because they're children. They'll be having fun at your expense. If you're not emotionally mature, you'll begin to torture and deal with those. In fact, you'll begin to abuse those children. One of these days, I will share about abusive parenting. Many children have been raised up under abusive parenting styles and parents that they end up also being abusers. In fact, it's one of the statistics. I'll get to it in just a moment. Let me move on for time's sake. All right. So every year in the US, 1 in 3 women who is a victim of homicide is murdered by her current or former partner. And that is why at some point, we will also talk about how to leave an abusive relationship, because some people don't know how to. Okay. Many people who have been murdered were murdered at the point when they were attempting to leave or when they had left. All right. Let me move on. Facebook guys, if you can hear me, I'd like to see your comment. I think my network may be acting up over there. So if you're on Facebook, I'd like to see your comment. Let me know you're still following. Okay. Oh, now you need to hear this point. It says half of the homeless women and children in the US are fleeing from domestic violence. That's so pitiful. That's so painful. Half of the women and children on the streets. Half of the women and children. And some people think that, the US is just where everything is fine and everything is good. Oh, there are homeless people. There are hungry people on the streets. There are people begging. There are people who sleep by the roadside. There are people who sleep under carton and, makeshift, stuff like that. They're suffering everywhere. But this statistic is saying that half of the women and children who are homeless in the US are fleeing from domestic violence. My God. Someone once asked, how did she not know that this man was such an animal? We'll get to that point. Let me move on. Okay, now the next point says, in 60% to 80% of intimate partner homicides, no matter which partner was killed, the man had at some point physically abused the woman before the murder. Whether it was the man who killed the woman or the woman killed the man, in most cases, there had been an abuse that had built up to that point where there was murder. That's what the statistic is saying. Okay. Now, this next point is also very painful. It says that as many as 324,000 women each year experience intimate partner violence during their pregnancy. Now, don't forget the first point I shared, that first of all, domestic violence cases are grossly underreported. So, with the statistic available, look at the numbers that are being churned out. And for those who think that, the abuser is just because he's angry, you will soon get to see that this thing is not just, it's a bad influence. I dare say it's a demonic influence. All right. If not, how would you see a woman heavy with child at such a delicate moment and you're hitting her? You're pushing her head against the wall. You're pushing her down the staircase. How do those things even happen if those people are normal? All right. But let's go on. Now, how does domestic violence impact on children? Let me share just 3 points, from here. Every year, more than 3 million children witness domestic violence in their homes. every year. Now these statistics have been written out are just for the US. So time will fail me to run through several others. Okay, I have some more for the UK and some of the EU nations. All right. Every year, more than 3 million children witness domestic violence in their homes. And guess what? These children are the ones who grow up to become teenagers, who start falling in love, or so they think, and start getting into relationship. And mind you, these guys have been, they have been informally taught. There's already been an acculturation to domestic violence as a way of life. So guess what? That is what they know. That is the response they know. That is how they know to do relationship. These are the same people who will go about now abusing their own generation. Why? Because they were witnesses to domestic violence. In fact, the next point says boys who witness domestic violence are twice as likely to abuse their own partners and their children when they become adults. Is that not so pitiful? Boys who experience domestic violence are more likely, twice as much likely, to be abusers of their partners and their children when they are adults. You see what I was just saying about that point? Because what happens is that these experiences from your upbringing are actually a sort of schooling and training and programming, subconscious programming that you don't even know about. But that is what it is. I think our Facebook guys are logged out. Let me see if I can get back in. Let me see if I can get back in. Give me a second, please. May have been a network thingy. Okay, Facebook guys. Let's get on with it. Give me a second, please. All right, so if you're there on IG and you're learning something, or you're feeling the passion, or you're being blessed, I'd like you to just give a thumbs up or just give a reaction, basically, while I try to get Facebook users back in. Okay, Facebook isn't responding. Let me try again. And then, okay, I think it's back up now. Aha, thank you for your responses. God bless you guys. Okay, let me get back up. Aha. Okie dokie. Oh, yes. Facebook is back up. Oh, trying to connect again. Oh, my God. Okay, Facebook is back up. Yeah. All right, so where did I stop? What's happening with the network? Okay, thanks for your responses, guys. I see you guys are following. This network had better behave itself. Give me a second. What is wrong? Okay, Facebook, I think we're back up. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you for staying. All right, so let me move on with this. I'm just sharing this. Like I said, this very session is mostly introductory. All right, and then we'll get deeper as we progress. A 2005 Michigan study found that children exposed to domestic violence at home are more likely to have health problems. Can you imagine that? That children exposed to domestic violence at home are more likely to have health problems. And such problems as getting sick more often, having frequent headaches, stomach aches, and they are more tired and lethargic. All right, just by being exposed to domestic violence. Let me share a little bit on how it impacts on the community. All right, now, according to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, domestic violence is the third leading cause of homelessness among families. Don't forget the statistic that shared earlier that, most women and children who are homeless are because they are fleeing from a case of domestic violence or from a domestically violent spouse or partner or father or mother, as the case may be. All right. So the next point says survivors of domestic violence face high rates of depression I mean, that's a given. That's a given because these guys go through a lot. They face a high rate of depression, sleep disturbances, anxiety, flashbacks, and other emotional distress. See, I know that some of you listening to me, have not experienced this. Yeah, that's really fine and beautiful. But more than those who have not experienced it, I know that there are more people here who have been through one form of abuse or the other. And if I have time in this very session, I will break it down into the physical, emotional, financial, sexual. I'll break it down if I have that time. Let me just finish with this statistic. All right. Now, domestic violence contributes to poor health for many survivors. Even cases like chronic heart diseases. There's some other medical things I cannot get into pronouncing now. All right. Okay. But the point is, just by being victims of domestic violence, people suffer physical ailments, including heart conditions. Now, I'm sharing these things so that you would permit my use of the word. You would hate domestic violence, not the person necessarily, but you will hate it and anything that looks like it, so that you can save people that that are struggling or suffering from it. And then if you have somebody who is an abuser, you'll be better equipped to help them, to save them from the trouble they are causing mankind. Let me take one more and I'll move on. Okay, this one says that domestic violence costs more than $37 billion a year in law enforcement, in legal work, medical, mental health treatment, and I mean, that's how much it costs the US. And some of these statistics were way back 2020 and even further. All right. Let me stop there. There's a lot to share. Let me see. There's a lot to share, but let me stop there. All right. Okay, now, you see how annoying those statistics are, right? You see, it will be very painful that some people don't even know whether the relationship they are in is abusive or not. It's quite surprising, yeah. But there are people who don't even know. They think it's just okay. They think it's just normal. Who are these kind of people? They are the kind of people who witnessed domestic violence as children, and they just grew up thinking that that is how the world is. That is how the world works. That is how men behave. That is how women respond to men. They just grew up thinking it is normal. Pastor Kingsley will always say, is your normal? That thing you are calling normal, is it really normal? Or is it a deviation from normalcy that you are calling normal? Is it an abnormal situation that you have thought to be normal? How can you think, for example, that if he loves me, he should slap me once in a while? He should beat me up once in a while. How would you think that comfortably? Let me take a comment I see on the IG. I came from a family of domestic violence, and this has really affected my relationships over the years. I'm so sorry about that. I recently started dating a guy, in a church group, and the guy's attitude showed a lot to you of a violent person. Okay. And he wasn't sorry about it. I hope that relationship is past tense now. I hope it's past tense. All right. If it's not, please, let's talk after this session so that I can help you out. Okay. I mean, the person is being violent, is showing tendency towards that, and he's not even sorry about it. And it's the relationship I'm talking about. So imagine that you continue with this and go and get married. You will definitely experience violence. Definitely. Okay, thank God it's in the past tense. Thank you very much for that. Thank God for that. And thank you for sharing. Thank you very much for sharing. You see that point about how the fact that, your experience of domestic violence from home had a way of affecting your relationships over the years. That's exactly what I'm saying. Many times people don't know. Okay, people don't know that these things actually happen. These things actually affect them. And that's why it's very important, really, to seek Empowerment, knowledge empowerment. And as it concerns relationship and marriage, please speak to a professional, talk to a counselor. There are many things that we can bring out. Now, the idea is not to bring out problem where there's no problem. Somebody said that that's what counselors do, that everything is looking fine, but you'll not come and be puncturing it and trying to spoil it. No, that's not the idea. The thing is that there are things that you think are normal. There are things that you have picked up from your previous relationship, previous experiences, and you're about to take those things into your marriage, or you have taken them into your marriage, and those things can be detrimental to the peace and love and joy in that marriage. Your counselors will help you spot those things out and show you how to get over them, how to overcome them. All right. So, hey, thank you, Pastor T. Thank you, my brother. Yeah. Someone says, love is not violence. Love is sacrifice. Thank you so much, Adegbami. Thank you so much for sharing that. Love is not violence. How can you think that it's just okay for him to hit you once in a while? That is abnormal. That is abnormal. You know, I've heard ladies who give certain, who give guys problems because they say the guy is just too calm. He's just too good. And then the lady begins to take advantage of him, disrespect him, dishonor him, treat him anyhow because he's too calm with her, too calm. Can you imagine? Because if he's a real man, he should have shown some violence. He should have beat her up like once or twice, So how would you know? Let me just quickly treat this. How much time do I have? Okay. How would you know if you're in an abusive relationship? I'll share a few points with you. And then if time permits, I'll go on to talk about other things. How would you know if you are in an abusive relationship? One of the points or one of the things you will discover, and if you feel in any of these ways that I'm going to talk about, then you need to know that this session is really for you. All right. Now, if you always do what your partner wants as against what you want to do, it is one of the indications of being in an abusive relationship. Let me say it again. If you always do what your partner wants, in other words, you don't have an opinion, you don't have a say. You always do what your partner wants, not what you want, when it is even clearly against your will. But you seem to not be able to help it. You just have to do what he or she wants. Then that is an abusive relationship. Because you see, one thing that you must never allow anybody to take away from you is your right of choice. Even God does not take away your right of choice from you. If God was going to do that, then man would not have fallen in the garden. Man would not have eaten the fruit that he was told to not eat. God would have just disabled his choice. You will not even see it to eat. You will not even have the ability to conceive. The Bible says Eve saw it and saw that, it was good for food. It was pleasant to the eyes. She would not have had the ability to do that if God influenced human beings' choices. So if God Almighty, the creator of the heavens and the earth, the one who can turn the hearts of kings, the way he wants, the one who can, speak a word and things happen, if such a being would not even influence the will and the choices of man, why should a fellow human force you into taking certain decisions that you don't want to take? So basically, if you always do what your partner wants and not what you want in that relationship, then it's a clear sign of being in an abusive relationship. And as I'm saying these things now, all right, I expect you to begin to think back. Certain experiences will begin to flash before your eyes, before your mind, you begin to play back certain things that you're going through in that relationship. How that every time, in matters of opinion, all right, he or she would always prefer and endorse and impose their own opinions on you. And when you refuse to go with them, then you begin to see other aspects of manipulation, whether it's the stonewalling, whether it's the intimidation, whether it's the calling you names and derogatory terms, and you see, you begin to see all forms of control. Again, if you always do what your partner wants and not what you want in a relationship, it is a clear indication of an abusive one. Another point number 2, if you remain in the relationship because you are afraid of what your partner will do to you if you leave, that's a serious problem. This one now, I'm sure many people are in this boat. You know you want to leave. You know you have to leave. You know this thing is not taking me anywhere. You know that, oh my God, my life has been a mess and I need to get out of this as soon as I can. You know that you need help. You need to be ready. You know it, but you cannot move because you are afraid of what they will do. That is a classical abusive relationship. Classical. All right? It's a classical abusive relationship. And there's help for you. Some people don't even know that there's even help. There's provisions, within the civic systems to rescue you from an abusive partner. Oh, yes, there are provisions. Yes, you can report certain bad behavior people. You can report them to the authorities. There are activists and human rights fighters all over the place looking for cases like that to buy, and they'll just buy your wahala from you and help you take care of the issue. All right, so you need to know that there's provision. You don't have to endure being in an abusive relationship. If you are there because you are scared that you cannot leave, sometimes maybe the partner has already threatened you and told you you cannot go anywhere. You can't go anywhere. If you live here, the day you live here is the day you die. If they tell you that, go and report that human being to the police. Oh yes. Go and report and run away as far as you can. Because it's already a case of threat to life. And guess what? There are people who have been murdered in their relationships, who, when you hear the story, you will hear that this person has always or severally threatened them. I will kill you. You cannot leave me. Sometimes he has shown them a knife or shown them a gun or, threatened to strangle them. These things have happened again and again, and somehow they just kept thinking it will get better. It's because I annoyed him. Please, if you're in an abusive relationship, I can't wait to get to the point where I'm talking about how to get out of it. I can't wait to get to the point, but I'll get there. And I shared certain things also when I talked about dealing with the narcissist. Okay, because many times these narcissists are the principal abusers. All right, but let me go on. Okay, so if you have to, third point, if you have to watch your words or actions carefully so that you don't offend your partner, so that you don't cause conflict, that is a concern. You know what that means? That means you are not free to express yourself. Someone made a comment here. You can even know through his tune when talking, that authority, exactly that tone. You can hear, you see it, you see it, you hear it from his voice. You see the way he's, he's what's the word now? Ventilating towards you. You'll see it. You'll see it. All right. Yeah, someone says they take offense in every little thing. That's part of emotional abuse. Everything you do is wrong. Everything you say is wrong. So now you're watching your words. You don't know whether if you say yes, whether you will be offended. If you say no, you say, how can you say no? You're always on eggshells. You're always trying to be careful. That's not a relationship. That's bondage. That's living in bondage. All right. How can you be in a relationship with someone and you're not even free to joke? You're not even free to say what's on your mind. You're not even free to, come on. Come on. And if you're that kind of person who is overly sensitive, everything is annoying you. Everything is somebody trying to disrespect you. Everything that is said is somebody, if you are that kind of person, please grow up. Because that's a self-esteem problem. It's also a narcissistic behavior where you think that everything is about you. We have been seeing some people sending requests to come on the live. It's like, I'll take them in. I just need to be sure that it's not a mistake, but I'll just take 2 points now, and perhaps I'll see if these guys are still interested in coming in, and then I'll bring you in on the live. I hope this network supports it. All right, so let me go on. Let me just drop these 2 points, and then I'll see if the people still waiting to join me on the live. Even though that's on Instagram or so, my Facebook people, you would listen to me and hear what we are saying. All right. Okay, so another pointer is if you are always scared of how your partner will behave towards you or towards others. You're always scared of how they'll behave towards you or towards others. You need to know that that's an abusive relationship. You can't vouch for their responses. You can't vouch for their level of emotional moderation. You don't know if they're going to shout, if they're going to attack. You don't know if they're going. You don't even know that if your mother stands here now, they will disrespect your mother. You're scared like that. That is wrong. Yeah, thank you, Millie Brown. Yeah, you say that's settling when you're trying to just settle. Thank you for that comment. All right. So you are in a relationship with somebody and you always cared about how they would respond to you or how they will respond to others. That already shows you that this person is lacking in self-control. This person is lacking in emotional maturity. Like I keep asking, what are you still doing there? Let me take these other points. If you're always making excuses for your partner, oh, sorry, no, it's not his fault. And that's how the last, you're always the one having to defend, having to cover up, having to sugarcoat, having to make peace after the person has destroyed everything. Come on, if that's the kind of relationship you are, it's an abusive one. It's not a healthy one for you. It's not a healthy one. At every point in time, you're having to do the damage control. It's not a healthy one. I wish people really hear these things and just set themselves free, really. Many times, I hear certain cases in relationships and marriage, and I'm just wondering, oh my God, why did they have to get to this? It's because they did not hear some of these things. That's why I'm this passionate when I'm having these sessions. It's because they didn't hear some of these things. Like I keep saying again and again and again and again, in fact, every relationship mistake is avoidable. It's avoidable. I'm not saying that you will not make certain mistakes as part of growth in life, right? Oh yes, you will, all right? But there are certain things that you could have already learned from other people's mistakes, and you don't have to learn them from your own mistake. Okay? I think Mami makes a comment there. He said, I think it's lack of confidence. All right? Okay, I think, is that the part where the person is always scared about how their partner will behave towards them? Yeah, that could also be it, lack of confidence. All right? And that is why relationship is not for children. That is why I always emphasize personal development. That is why I always emphasize personal growth, personal capacity. And that is why I always emphasize that the better a person you are as an individual, the better chances you have of being a quality partner. All right? I'll take this one point and then I'll see if I can bring you guys into the live. Oh, see this last point. Let me just stop here. If you believe that you can help your partner change only if something changed about you, it is a clear sign that you're in an abusive relationship. You believe that I can help him change or I can help her change if I just change my own behavior. If I just stop, maybe it's the way I used to talk. Let me stop talking like that, or let me stop doing this, or let me stop doing that, or let me start doing this. And in many cases, it's not even about the things that people should stop. In many cases, the abusers want them to start behaving in certain ways that are not them. He makes you to start taking substances you don't want to take, you never thought you would be taking. He makes you to start doing things, and this mostly comes out in the sexual abusers. They make you to start indulging in things that you don't want to do. And then you're telling yourself, maybe if I give in, he will stop speaking to me like that. He will stop hitting me. He will stop acting angrily at me. If I just made him happy, if I could just give in. He tells you that you should go get money from your parents, get money from your siblings because he wants to fund this lifestyle or this product, whatever it is. And then he makes you feel really terrible if you're not doing it. And then to the extent that you start begging your family and friends, you even steal from your parents. You just so that you can make this person happy. Haba, can't you see you're being manipulated? You're being controlled. That's an abusive relationship. I will stop with these points for now because my time. All right. God bless you guys. Thank you so much, all of you, for coming on the live. I'm sure you've been blessed. You've learned something. All right. Please help spread the word. Help share. All right. And let's do this again next week. God bless you guys. See you again next week. Please don't forget to check out our resources on www.coachmazy.com or check out the link in my bio. We have a lot of resources, free and paid ones. All right. But feel free to glean from all of these and I'm sure you would find yourself some very good value. All right. See you guys next week.